Check, mic check. Hello, my people. Once again on the highway with my KTM 390 Adventure X. I have been riding this bike extensively. It's been just a little more than a month. I've done like maybe this is my third road trip, so I have done over 3,100 kilometers as of now, to be precise 3,188 kilometers. So what do I say about the bike? Honestly, I'm in love with it. I love it because one, it's a KTM. It has its character, you know, like KTM bikes, most of them have their own character. So overall, I'm very happy with the bike. The bike is pretty damn good. It's damn good for touring. I don't want to get into the specifications and all that stuff because I'm sure like you all guys know about it, and for whatever the specifications are, the bike is pretty good and it's good for touring. Like, this is an X, it's not an S, so the bike is kind of touring biased, I would say, mainly because of the front wheel. It's 19 inch instead of 21, and there is no adjustability in the suspensions. Suspensions are very good for the highway. I feel it little on the harder side when it comes to my body weight. I'm pretty lightweight. I'm probably like 57 kilos, so it feels a little stiff, especially the rear suspension. So I'm thinking of adjusting it with the preload, maybe one step softer. I haven't done it yet. Probably once I get back to Bangalore I will do it. But overall it's a bliss to ride. See, I'm like 100 is nothing, and easily cruising at 120, 130, not at all a problem. I have done few modifications, nothing major. I have a GPS mount put on, then I have handlebar risers, but I am thinking of removing those, maybe change it to some other handlebar risers, because earlier I didn't have that much of a buzz on the handlebars, but since I've changed the handlebar risers, I've added the handlebar risers, I have a bit of a buzz on the handlebars. Then the other thing I have added is the side stand extender, or whatever, I don't know what it's called. That is working good. So GPS mount is okay. This is all from Skid. I'm not super happy with their quality, but functionally they are okay, so that's pretty good. I didn't have any problems with that. Only the handlebar risers, because these are the round ones which come underneath. Probably I'll fix the handlebar as it is and then use the one which comes under the handlebar and check that. As of now I don't want to take any chances. I think I'll go back to the stock setting of the handles, but I feel the need of the raised handlebar when I'm going off-roading. So coming to the highway capabilities, it's a very good machine. It's very stable on high speeds. Maneuverability is very good. Mileage is pretty good too. So if I'm cruising at 100 to 110, I'm somewhere easily getting more than 26 kilometers per liter. But if I'm gunning it like 130, 140 constantly, it drops down to maybe 21 or 22. So on an average, you can keep around 22 to 25, somewhere there. That's the mileage on the highways, and in the cities it will be somewhere around 22 to 23, depending on how I ride. It's dropped down to 21 as well. So as of now, I have not got anything less than 21, which is pretty okay. It is same as my old Duke, so I'm quite happy with that. But this is comparatively more comfortable compared to my Duke. So the posture is good. The rider's triangle is appropriate for touring. Surprisingly, it's excellent in the twisties and B roads. I love that. It's very nimble, easily flickable, easily changed directions. Braking is adequate for me. I've heard a lot of people telling about the organic pads, it is not so efficient and all that stuff. For me, it is quite adequate. I don't think I would need a sharper braking in this. I'm sure a sharper braking would improve quite a bit, but I'm quite happy with it. Unless I wear out these braking pads, I'm not gonna change them. But then probably for the second set of braking pads, I will go for the sintered ones. What else? Things what I like about the bike, I like the power. Low end torque is pretty damn good compared to the older machines. Like the KTM, biggest drawback was the low end torque in all of their earlier machines, but this is really good. And in cities it helps a lot, in off-roading it helps a lot. So compared to the previous machine, I am always on a gear higher. In the cities, so compared to the previous models, on this machine you will be a gear higher with regards to the city runs and even the off-roading part. It helps a lot, so you don't have to worry much about it. Like, I'm mostly on the second and the third in the slow moving traffic. I hardly go to the first. Yet another toll. I'm going towards Mangalore again. So this is a pretty good stretch of road. It's around 200 kilometers of highway, and then comes the Ghat section and the twisties. So it's a pretty good mix of roads. And all my previous trips on this bike, which is 2 of the trips, were on this road itself. Fortunately, I end up coming on this road with something or the other. So yeah, I'm going on some work. I prefer traveling. I thought I'll drive this time, but yeah, I wanted to ride more. So that is how this machine is. Like, I was all set until last night. I thought I'll be driving this time because I've done this road in last 2 weeks. I've done it twice, so, and it's pretty hot as well, but the bike is as such, it makes me want to ride more, so it's pretty good. I am enjoying it. Like, I don't know, like, I am kind of addicted to this bike, so it's pretty damn good. I love it. So coming to the vibrations, guys, I would say any bike of this cc, that to a single cylinder, will have vibrations. Okay, you don't want vibration, ride a 100cc bike, or maybe ride a Unicorn or a Splendor, or even a 150cc Pulsar, which is smoother. But yeah, on high speeds every bike has vibrations, but this, I wouldn't say vibrations, I would say it's the character of the engine and the bike. So yes, vibrations are there on the lower RPMs and slower speeds, you can feel it, but once you start picking up the speed, it smoothens out really good, and you don't feel those vibes a lot. There is a foot peg buzz at higher speeds, but if you're wearing proper boots, then I don't think so it will affect you that much. So the other thing I like is technology. Technically, like, you know, there are a lot of things which I like on this bike. Small things, basically, like backlit keys which help in the night, then indicators turn off automatically. I don't know why Bajaj is not even talking about it, or even any of the influencers or moto vloggers talking about it. That's one of the good features. Four-way indicators stay on. If you switch it on and turn off the key, it will stay on until you turn it off. So that's a good feature, where you can park the bike with the four-way indicators on, and maybe you went to pick up something, or you just park the bike on the side of the highway. So that's one of the other good feature. It has two display modes, which is very useful actually, especially in off-roading. I go into the simpler version, which just shows the gear and the speed and the fuel gauge. These are the three things which it shows, in which the gear is highlighted big, so you exactly know which gear you are in without, you know, having to search for the gear indicator. So it's prominent. Let me show you. So yes, display mode, standard, reduced is what they call. So see, this is the gear indicator, that's the speed, and that's the fuel gauge. Also it shows the time. So that's pretty good, you know, like this is good, especially when you're standing and riding, to know which gear you are in. Damn useful. Like, it's well thought by KTM, so it's good. And you can change the ABS mode on the go. So I have tried it, it works seamlessly, it's good. Quick shifter is really good, but from 4th to 5th it is quite hard. Probably it is only on my bike, but other than the 4th gear, it is butter smooth. It is really good, upshift and downshift both, but only when I'm going from 4th to 5th, it is quite hard actually compared to other gears. I have to actually, like, you know, put a lot of pressure for it to shift. And I'm enjoying the quick shifter. Like, this is the first bike I own which has the quick shifter, so that's pretty damn good. I enjoy the feature, especially in the cut sections. When you're gunning it, it's really useful. Clutch is light, brakes are good, windshield is good, but I hate it, it vibrates a lot. So yeah, this is an update from KTM, where I visited the service center. So they told this is common in all the bikes, which is the noise. There is a weird vibration sound on the windshield, and then there is a lot of vibes on the crash guard. So I think they're changing the bolts on the crash guard, which is already rolled out. The other thing is they have to recheck the rubber mounts inside this console, because even I have tried it removing the windshield, that vibration is still there. So that doesn't mean it is just coming from the windshield, it's also coming from the console, this entire set. Even though the entire set looks cool, it's like Dakar inspired setup, but yeah. So I'm just waiting for the updates from the KTM dealers. So he will be calling me. I know a person at the service center who will be calling me about that. Headlights are damn good. I don't think so I need a auxiliary light, so no point. It's very good. High beam, low beam. For me, how it came stock, it is still stock. I haven't changed the settings, whether it is high or low. It's actually perfect. So only thing is, high beam is really center focused, so there is not much of a spread on the high beam, but it does the job. And low beam is really good. So I don't think so there is a need for auxiliary light, or people think like, okay, this headlight doesn't turn with the handlebar, so how about the twisties and what's happening there? See, the low beam spread is pretty wide, and when you are on high beam, it is both with low beam and high beam, so the spread is pretty good. So even when you are turning on the twisties, it doesn't matter. So you have quite good illumination from the light, and pretty much it is wide, so it's very good. One biggest drawback I don't like is luggage mounting. Like I usually use saddlebags, but on this I am unable to use it. Right now I'm using a Viaterra tail bag, which is waterproof and 22 liters. So anyway, for now I'm doing short trips, so 2-3 days trips. Whatever necessary things will fit in that, and I use a OGO hydration pack, which is also pretty good. It's, I think, again 15 liters or something, so all my gadgets and all sit in this, including water. I recently got this trail pack from Viaterra. I'm using this for the first time today. So far so good. It's pretty useful. Like, you can, you know, keep your cash, keep your GoPro batteries, keep your phone. It works good. It's not moved a bit, so it's fit in right in the tip of that handlebar. So I like it very much. It's nice, it's very useful. So, but I'm gonna get a saddle stay and a tail rack. Definitely not the panniers, because I already have the saddlebags. So I'm gonna use that. It's easy to tie. Right now there is no mounting point on top. Below, bottom, on the rear foot pegs, they have a lot of options to strap on, even to use the bungee cords and everything. But on top there is no option. Only one, which is at the hand grab rail. So that's pretty okay. But you can't mount the saddlebags as good as my previous bike. So saddle stay is a must. So that will be a little add-on weight for my bike. I hate doing that, but I have no option. So I need to get that saddle stay and tail rack soon. I'm gonna get it. But yeah, once I get that, I think my necessary things are pretty much there on this bike. So I have nothing much which I would need to go on long rides. See, third works, fourth I have to actually pull up, sixth it just goes. So it's pretty good. The crawl technology is awesome. It's very very helpful in the traffic conditions, slow moving traffic. It's really good. So even for the beginner riders it is really good. So overall I'm quite happy, like, you know, when a bike does this, which is you want to ride it more and more and more. It's like you have that constant craving to ride it. Doesn't matter. So doesn't matter where, like, you know, I got this as solely for touring purpose. Like my agenda was to tour on this, but I have been riding this on the city. But I have been riding this in the city a lot, and I haven't touched my other bike, which is an Impulse, which I usually use it in the city because it's quite nimble and it's actually good for the city. But this actually beats that. Like, it is almost equivalent to riding an Impulse. It's nimble and it's fun, the low end torque is good, and it's actually, like, I can do 100 in no time inside the city. So it's pretty good. What else do I don't like? Anything else? Oh yeah, the lever bars, the lever clutch lever. It's right after during my first trip, which is under 1,000 kilometers, it started rattling. So I got it fixed, but it didn't get fixed fully. It still rattles at high speed, so I constantly have to keep a finger on it. Second thing, you will get a lot of buffeting. Buffeting is in abundance, like hell lot of buffeting. Right now I'm wearing earplugs. If you're not wearing earplugs, you're gone. You will be like, you know, your ears will burst out. It's got a lot of buffeting. I changed the helmet. I thought helmet was an issue. No, it's actually the windshield, because the wind hits right to your ears on the side. From neck and below, there is no air circulation whatsoever when you're on the highways or in the cities. So it blocks the wind pretty good, but it's actually too much also. But yeah, lot of buffeting. You need to have earplugs, but once you wear earplugs, there is no problem. You can, you know, easily chug along, and it can actually do quite good speeds on the highway. So easily cruising at 120, 130 is not a problem. 110 to 120 is the sweet spot, because you have pretty less vibes and like you don't feel it. And you also can get quite a good average out of this bike if you're cruising at 110 to 120, even 100 to 110. If you're 100 to 110, you can actually get close to an average of 30. So on a full tank, easily 300, 320 before you fill it up. And the other thing is the range, what it shows. Its range is quite accurate, I would say. Not that accurate, but it's okay. But the one drawback is it shows up to 80 kilometers, and after 80 kilometers it's gone. Like it's just dash 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 dash. So you don't know how many kilometers are left, or I don't know like why KTM did that. Probably they might update it in the next software updates, but I would request KTM to do that, because in my old Duke it used to show up to probably less than 50. I have not gone below 50, but yeah, it used to show up to 50, 40 kilometers. So it should show, but in this below 80 it's gone. Like, you don't know, you need to keep a track of it. So I have ridden close to 300 kilometers before refilling, and no problem. I think it can go up to 300 to 340 kilometers easily with an average of 27 to 28. So that's not an issue. So overall, it's a very good bike. It's good for touring, it's good for city, it's excellent in off-roading. Oh man, off-roading is awesome. I was very much intimidated before, thinking that, oh, this bike feels big and like, okay, how would I do it? But it makes it so easy. It makes it so easy. It makes you want to ride more. It makes you want to take up on challenging roads. It actually motivates you to do that. So it's really good. Like, I think I have done the right purchase. It is worth the wait. I sold my Duke 2 years back. I was thinking of buying an R3, but Yamaha people killed it for me. I don't want to pay so much for a 300cc bike. I would rather go for a 650 or something, adding in some more money. But yeah, currently I'm not ready for the super bike yet. I would want to have a super sport in my garage. That will be the last bike in my garage. But right now, this is a good purchase. I'm pretty happy with it. And my suggestion is, if your usage is 50% city, 20 to 30%, or 40% highways and 10% off-roading, which you can explore, this is a fun bike. This is the bike you should go for. I would highly recommend it. And depending on your specification, what you need, you can either go for the S version or the X. I went for the X because I'm not a fan of electronics. And yeah, probably I missed the cruise control in this. That would have been nice. But other than that, I don't want to, like, have too much of intervention by the electronics. I'm a pretty seasoned rider, I believe, so I can handle my bike by myself. ABS is good, so that's more than enough for me. And yeah, even the suspensions, unless and until I extract the full potential of this baby, I will not change anything, including the suspension. That is one of the things which I might change maybe like 3 years, 4 years down the line, once I know this bike fully and I'm pushing to its limits. And then when I feel like, okay, I would need a little more from this bike, especially in off-road conditions, I would definitely change the suspensions, and which is good. I would like to change the levers, brake and gear lever, clutch levers. I'm waiting for it. Once the accessories are available in the service center, I would change it to the S1, which is adjustable. I don't know why they didn't give the adjustable levers. Like, come on man, KTM, it is just levers. One adjustability in the levers is not a big deal. These things would have made a lot of difference, so yeah. And also center stand I would need, because lubing the chain is a task on this bike. But other than that, man, I'm pretty happy with it. To all my friends who is planning to buy a 390 Adventure, should definitely go for it, but don't buy it without test ride like how I bought it. So please go for a test ride, try it, go for a half-an-hour ride, feel the bike properly, ride it along with whatever bikes you are planning to look into, like especially like Himalayan or what else, Triumph Scrambler, even V-Storm 250. So try these bikes, see what is your necessity, then buy accordingly. I would highly recommend this. Amongst all the KTM for touring, I would recommend this out of all. You see, this is the 6th gear. I can go as low as 55. Oh. So I'm on the 6th gear. I am okay, I'll go slower. Okay, 55. So I'm gonna start with 55 and take it. It takes up so nicely. 6th gear. I'm in 6th gear. So you literally have to change no gears pretty much on the highway. Like, you know, you can just play along on the 6th gear. That's it. You're done. Once you're on the 6th gear, you have to hardly change the gears. Unless you come below 55, you don't have to change the gears. It's on 6th constant, and the bandwidth which you get on the 6th gear is vast. It's huge. 55 to almost 160. It's 100 kilometers of difference on the 6th gear. So I don't have to change it. Like, that's excellent for highways. You don't have to change a lot of gears a lot of time unless you end up slowing down quite a bit. So I hope all these points have helped you a lot in finalizing your next ride. I would highly recommend this, and I'm gonna sign off as of now. This is Crazy Cat Kamath, and I will see you on my next vlog. Adios, guys.